new National Center for Geographic Information and Analysis, established by the National Science Foundation in 1988. The center is based at the University of California, Santa Barbara, with other sites at the State University of New York at Buffalo and the University of Maine in Orono. Together, the three schools provide a good coverage of the major disciplines within GIS. Santa Barbara's strengths are in the physical sciences and remote sensing. Buffalo is strong in human geography and its related areas, and Maine adds a solid engineering program to the mix with expertise in land surveying and land information systems. The primary goal of the center is to do basic research on the issues and problems associated with GIS. Tom Bearwall.
The development of the National Center for Geographic Information and Analysis was actually about a 4-year-long process. What we had were two sets of developments occurring kind of simultaneously and eventually coalescing to create the conditions for the center. On the one hand, you had a number of individuals in the GIS and geographical analysis community who were becoming concerned about certain basic problems that they saw developing with the rapidly growing development and use of GIS as a means of analysis. One of those major problems was that we had suddenly realized we had a technology that could access and use enormous quantities of data. And where previously we often felt that we were spatially data poor, that many questions could be answered better if we had more data, we started to realize with GIS that in many cases that data had always been there, or we had new capacities to tap and use data that previously we hadn't had. And we suddenly found ourselves dealing with problems of, in some cases, massive amounts of data. And we were discovering that the problems of data surplus were much different than the old problems of data scarcity.
I think the main thrust of the center there is in trying to improve the ways in which GIS technology is used, influence the ways in which GIS technology develops, perhaps remove some of the impediments which might exist to using GIS technology in maybe new application areas. One of the things we hope to do is to perhaps emphasize the more novel kinds of applications of GIS technology rather than the traditional ones. So we're very interested in exploring new areas of application for the technology, and also in trying to influence the technology itself and improving it. The second purpose is education. We're very much concerned about the lack of training in GIS, the need to train people who are already in professional positions to bring them up to speed on the new technology, and also to improve the supply of trained people through university programs and through other kinds of training.
I hope it has the effect to be a clearly defined focus for activities. Because one of the problems with the GIS field is we did not have a focus. If you look at the number of professional associations, for example, or professional educational, or you say that otherwise, at the number of different educational institutions that offer some education in GIS world, you see that we are very widely distributed over many different fields, and it is very difficult to, for example, to follow the literature because it's spread out over many publications. And I hope the center can help to bring a focus in, because we come from these different backgrounds, and bring it together to one table and make a central point that everybody can help us share.
I think the impact that the National Center will have on GIS as a discipline is threefold. In the first place, the basic research component is obvious. It's funded by NSF. And the initiatives that we'll be doing in the first year include work on error propagation and spatial languages and multiple representations. But there are other impacts as well. I think that the impact on education is far-reaching. First, in terms of training graduate students, the demand is so high for trained GIS technicians and system analysts, and perhaps we can help with that. But also the training of commercial and non-academic realms, I think, will be very important. And lastly, I guess the outreach component and just technology transfer to the fields that need it, and bringing the research and the pragmatic together. I think that's a very important component.